like I'd lie into you, and I think some of the boys have kind of outed us over the last couple of weeks. This is what we sold the lads back with our first meeting on August 25th, and this is what we sold the lads where we think we could have got them. But that came with an awful lot of caveats. Like if I give you an example, we'd have put up a slide last August of what Michael Langan and Joe O'Connor hit, and they were the all-star midfield, what they hit in terms of score-wise. I think Langan was 125 and Joe O'Connor was 2.7. And if we put up our 6 lads that played in the midfield area last year, they weren't even getting near either of them combined. So we were saying, like, we challenged the lads to do an awful lot of these things, like what Jack Kearney did over the last couple of weeks. But that takes... We probably thought it might have taken a tiny bit longer to do it. But all through, we did think we had the talent in the room to go and challenge it. But then Roscommon happens, and you kind of have to reevaluate, and you have to say, okay, where are we really, or where can we get to? And Joe, I did say that day, I said, I didn't realise it made nationwide headlines at the time about the 3-year plan. But the players were quick to tell me that they thought they could do it in year 1. They said that to us. They said, Joe, Andy, you mentioned 3 years there. We don't forget about this year. And I said, we're not. It was just a statement, and we chased it down. And we thought we had a chance. But then, Joe, you go to Tyrone and you lose. And Joe, you have a sticky time against Meath. Like it was kind of step by step then, Aidan. And like once we got to Croke Park and we seen the way the boys could play up against Cork and Croke Park, we thought then we had a chance, and kind of took off from there, really.
The second one, just a question. You know how all the players and all the squad, you have a great squad and all that, but the influence of, say, the likes of Aidan O'Shea, Robbie Henley and Killian O'Connor, I mean, you know, it was a great, magnificent to have them in set up a cheat. Like, they mightn't have played in the final, but you could see, you know, in the games leading up to it, they were rolling the lads on at every opportunity. So with their big influence, they were a big help.
It was huge at training. Like, even we had 4 sessions between the semi-final and final, and you play a game. We play football every training session, so there's always a match. And in 3 of them 4 sessions, like, so in the Tuesday, Saturday, the so-called non-starters, the B team or whatever you want to call them, bet the A team in them 3 sessions. And then you know you're in a really good spot, because no one from the outside the first 15 have dropped heads. No one have they were fighting. John Mack and all them boys were flying. But then you mentioned the senior boys, the Robbies, the Aidens, the Killians. They were really kind of just driving the young fellas on. They could see that there was an opportunity here to go and win, and they drove them on. And I thought it was a lovely moment at the end of the game, and I only noticed it after the game, was the first man into Jack Livingston was Robbie Henley. And I thought that was telling. I just thought there was no feeling sorry. It was sheer delight for the county to win, for his ex-teammate, clubmate to do so well, and there was just sheer delight there. And I think that kind of told the story of Aidan, Killian and Robbie just all in that instant, you know.
Well, what did you feel like when Clifford got the goal?
It was fun. But this is the truth. This is the truth. So it was a funny old season. It was a funny old season because we were screaming, myself and Boiler. We were here against Meath in the first half against Meath, and we knew there was a significant win there. And I remember Colin just saying to me, if we stay within 7 or 8 points, we're in a chance. And we were just screaming at the boys. He'll tell you, stay in the game. Stay in the effing game was basically what we were shouting at the boys. Just stay in the game, because we knew it was a 4-2 pointer wind. So we were just like, just keep yourself in it. And we did an exercise with the lads before the All-Ireland. And I'd be lying to you if I told you we didn't. We said, Kerry, a really good team. They're going to get 15 minutes of superiority. What's it going to look like? So we kind of talked that one through. We'd done it. It was stole completely from an Eddie Jones podcast. And he had a thing with Japan called Beat the Box. And it was like, South Africa, we're going to get 15 minutes of dominance here. How are we going to deal with it? Yeah. So we dealt with we had said that down here. And again, the same shout was the Meath game. Stay in the game. Stay in the game. We knew they were going to get 15 minutes. And the key moment in that was when, as soon as Jack Kearney hits that 2-pointer, the game is back on. And Joe, everything needs key moments, and that was the key moment for us. When Clifford hit the net, I think, okay, we need the next score. Yes, I did, 100%, but it was there was no panic in the thing. We didn't want to be in that position, but we had talked that we could be in that position.
Conversely, what did you think when Dara scored the goal? Was the heart rising then?
Yeah, I think it's an awful lot. Cameron, I'd be funny. Boyle would be more active than me on the sideline, to be honest. He'd be very active on the sideline, but it's I'd be quite kind of calm on the sideline, particularly when we're going well. Joe, when we were going poorly, I kind of shout quite a bit, but Joe, you knew it was a huge, significant moment. Like, we told Byrne the keeper goes to ground early, and for him to put that out across the keeper was just sheer class, and it was just great to see. But we knew there was a large part back in the game, but we knew at that point we were playing well, and if you look back on the game, that was the 10-12 minutes that won the game for us.
The sports psychologist,
Rachel, yeah.
Yeah, how different is she than ones you had previously? What did you learn? What did you learn from her?
Yeah, she's just like, we would give her a very kind of a different role. I would have a different kind of way of dealing with sports psychology. If I'm being honest, I'd be very open to it. Like, we would not be in the rooms when she's doing the meetings with the lads. So we usually do our tactical meetings and we just leave them at it. And all the management leave and go home, and they stay here and they do their thing and they do their bits within their group, and they're trusting within the group and all that. And it's just like, what I think about sports psychology, Michael, it's not about one quick fix. It's about time and over and over and over. And that's what we worked on. We just worked on what's working, and she just was really consistent throughout the course of the year, and really dealing with fellas in terms of on the one-to-one profile problems away from football, life problems, work problems, Joe, little things like that. And that's where Rachel really goes about it, and it was really good. But we've had really, really good people in the past too. Joe, you think about Niamh Fitzpatrick, you think about Kieran Shannon. We were very lucky in our time as players to see the best of the best at it. So Rachel just kind of fitted that line, and it was really good for the group.
Andy, you mentioned the Meath game there a couple of times now, and what the two of you are like on the sideline. Just because it was a Saturday afternoon, I said I'd watch it from the stand as opposed to the press box, and I wasn't too far behind you that afternoon. And I heard distinctly when you were sending on Keane MacHale in the second half. I think we were still 6 or 7 points down, and you said to Keane, "Go in and have some fun for yourself." And at the time, I thought to myself, "We're in bother here, we're 6 or 7 points down." And it came to mind because Matty Ruan said the same thing the day after the final. I think he said in an interview with somebody, and he said to go in and have some fun. Like, it's some message to give a player, but it's one thing to tell a player that, but for a player to be able to take that on board and feel as if they can have this sense of freedom perhaps on the pitch, is that where the psychology comes in as well? Over the course of the year, giving the lads this sense of.
Yeah, well, the Keane situation, I think, is you're 6 down playing with the wind and you're a corner forward. That's dream world stuff. It's that's where you want to be. You come around the 2-point arc there. I think he hit a single. He won 3 breaks. He won 3 kickouts. He was brilliant, and he was brilliant throughout the year. But that's kind of the element we went to with our forwards. If I'm being honest, it was all about. Fun is a loose term. Like, when I mean about fun is that you take your man on, that you be aggressive, you run at the fella, you take your shot. It's not going there and play loose and just play, hit Hampton. It's, you go in there and you enjoy it. Like, you enjoy the fight, you enjoy going after the ball, you enjoy the hunt, you enjoy taking your man on, you enjoy scoring goals. And that's what we mean about fun. With Matty, anyone that knows Matty over the years, Matty's a fun guy. Like, he's a good fella to be around. He's a character. Like, there's no point in there going making Matty play tight. Like, so Matty comes on in the final and wins probably the most important tackle of his life. Sets up Ryan, who sets up Kobe, and we nearly get the goal out of it. And it's just, fun is a loose element, and it sounds a bit soft, but like, I think the boys know what fun means. Fun means, like that day when Keane came on and won 3 kickouts, and he scored the score. So I didn't think we were in bother, Anthony. I do think what is going to happen in the next 24 months, and I think I said it to somebody, I think you're going to report on the game differently. 6 points with a win is 3 points in the whole money playing with a win. I don't think you're in bother. I think we're going to learn that more and more over the next couple. We were 8 points down in the final. it's fine. You know, we knew we were going to shoot into the canal second half, scoring goals. I'm not saying we were confident. We knew we had a chance. You know, even if you were 10 down, I don't think it's a big panic anymore.
How many times have you watched back the final?
The best time I watched it back was in Delaney's in Ballyhaunis. Yeah. And the place was full, and the big screen was on, and it was the weirdest thing ever. Everyone just seemed to you couldn't get a drink because it was too busy, so everyone just stood and watched it. I think you were outside, a few of you were outside. We just stood and watched it. Darren Byrne scores the goal, and the place was like he scored it for the first time. It was great. So that was the first time I'd watched it back, but no, I've watched it back a few times. My little fella is mad into, like all your young fellas are, he's into YouTube at the minute. And he's just watching clips about Kobe and Ryan and Dave McBride and all these guys. So you're watching snippets all the time. But have I watched it in depthly to the level I'd like to watch it? No, but I've watched it a few times in terms of pieces and clips and stuff like that, yeah.
Colin, it's not long since you were in, I think it was it in Leitrim, and Monaghan beat Mayo in the minor quarter-final. I think that's it, that Owen McGrain had come on in All-Ireland senior final about 2 months ago. That's from months later. Again, Mark Cuddy Clifford.
Yeah, it's insane when you think about it. When you talk about Owen and potential, it was clear. The first day I saw him, actually, we were holding minor trials, so he was technically under 16. You probably there. We're in the top pitch in Ballina, and anyone knows that pitch. It's a wet, mucky pitch, and I just remember the first time I seen him, never heard him. He came out with the ball. Straight away, I turned to Sean team beside me. I was like, "Who the hell is that fella?" So the potential was very, very clear from Owen from a very early stage. But what he did, Owen actually the really unfortunate here. We would have loved, he ended up missing the whole 20s campaign. We would have loved to have him more. And then he comes in. I suppose it shows not just what he did in the final, but it shows how highly we regard him. Owen's first game after a really serious injury this year was to go to Tyrone. Hadn't kicked a ball since Galway in the league, and we gave him the job of Owen McElroy. So that's kind of how much we respect Owen as a footballer and the talent he has. And to be honest with you, the best way I can describe it, when it was kind of Andy that made the initial call on it. Didn't lose any sleep over it. I just thought he'd be fine because that's the type of character he is. And he just showed it.
He came in. He came back from the injury. He was mad for action in London. We couldn't get him in. He was thick because we couldn't play the under 20s. And the first session he came in, he marked Kobe, didn't give him a kick. And the second session he came in, he marked Ryan. I didn't give him a kick. And we weren't going to put him onto the squad for
Monaghan.
We weren't going to put him on the squad for Monaghan. And we just immediately said, okay, he needs to be on the subs in case we need him. And then the week after, he trained like a bomb again the week after, and we just put him straight in. That's what happened. He had no training done. He's just, his training was so good when he came back. He just had to play a lot. But we wanted him to play. We played him. This is what I keep saying. I know I got a bit of, I suppose, jip after the Connacht Championship, but we played Owen in the first game. We had identified him to be the man for the corner, but listen, what happened was he got injured for 12 to 14 weeks and he put on 6 kilos in that time. He's at all lost now the last 2 weeks, but he just by sheer lifting of weights and everything, he dogged it and he put on 6 kilos and came back a way better footballer than when he left, So that's what you need from your young fellas,
I remember about maybe 10 or more years ago, we were driving around one day and you said, geez, if we win one, it opens the door to compete then for more. So has the mindset changed now? Will Mayo be viewed differently? Will Mayo view themselves differently?
Do you think that?
I think we definitely view ourselves. I think what it does in the short term, Michael, it cuts out a lot of the nonsense talk around Mayo. You know what I mean, in terms of how the outside world would view us, number one, but even internally, as well. Sometimes Mayo people would kind of, probably because we've lost so many finals over the year, be quite negative around the team or around the county or the county board or whatever it is. And I'd hope it'll stop an awful lot of that nonsense and people can just focus now on development and the future and the team going forward, the new COE, everything, the good work the boys are doing in the background. And that's the big thing to come from me, that I would hope, that people just can move on. Because in Mayo, we always talk about the past. And normally we talk about the past that's not good. You know what I mean? And to me, that what I would hope from that is just so much of that now just goes away. We take the good stuff from the past and just move on as a unit together. And you said, can we do more stuff together? Like, that's the plan. Obviously, that's for us to try and build on now over the next couple of years, and be competitive. But to be competitive, you have to earn the right to be competitive, and it comes through hard work. You know what I mean? That's what we started obviously this time last year, with the boys buying into that. And when we get back into the pre-season, obviously the boys need to buy in it again, and just go and just compete. You know, if you compete, you give yourself a chance. You know, and that's the big thing for us.
But you look right. So I did my interview for the job on the 25th of July 2025, and we're on the 26th of July 2026. So it's the full actually cycle of the year. But if we were going back and asking reporters questions again, but if we were going to go back and you were going to say, what does X candidate need to have on their team? You would say you need to have an All-Ireland winner on your team, in your management team. Now you have 42 of them. Do you know what I'm saying? So the way you're going to view whoever the next manager is going to be, you're going to view him very differently. You're going to view his team very differently because he'll have one of these books with him. And Joe, it allows us to look inside instead of always been looking outside. And I think that's just, I think it's amazing, to be honest with you. And these boys, what they've given the county, what they've given the Mayo football, I think is not going to be seen until we're a lot older, and I think it's going to be amazing, you know.
What was Tally telling you in the days before the final? Like he has one.
Well, he's 3. I think he gets his own Sam Maguire now, doesn't he? I know Paddy. Like I'll tell you where experience is brilliant, lads. It's questions. It's questions. It's always questions. So like, Joe, the likes of Paddy would keep me awake at night, you know, that sort of way. He'd ask you a dirty little question just before you go to bed at 8:30 or 9 o'clock at night, and I'd be up then again at 4 o'clock that morning. But like, it's just and like, what that allows you to do, it allows you to go into a game and you have all the questions asked yourself. So you're way more prepared. So like you're saying, what was David Clifford like when he scored the goal? So we've probably asked ourselves that question. We probably said that David Clifford was going to score a goal. Do you know what I mean? So it's not a big panic. Well, it's a big panic, you're 1-5 to 1 down, but it's not, you know, the boys aren't going to panic on the pitch because we've probably dealt with that scenario training. And that's what Paddy Tally brings to it. That's what All-Ireland winners and experience, not just All-Ireland winners, experience brings to a thing. And he did bring that 100%. It was good. I'll give you a really good example. Paul Durkin, our goalkeeping coach. What Graham Sullivan did in the handshakes, going through the thing, she did the same thing to Donegal in 14. Durkin had us told about it. So Jeremy and Ryan were ready, do you know, when it happened. So, Joe, that preparation was already there. So that's what experience gives you. They tell you little things. Dirk said like it affected them slightly in 14. So then all of a sudden the boys were ready for it. So it's just little nuggets along the way that kind of help you along the way, do you know?
Just on questions, Andy, the famous question and answer after the Louth game, now that it's all done and dusted, you can tell us, was that in the moment, was that preordained? Because you ask people for moments in Mayo's season, a lot of people come back to that and they say the way you addressed that room of reporters and the way you switched the focus, they feel it had a massive impact on what happened subsequently in the lead up to the final and the final. So I'm just curious to know, was it something you had in your head that you wanted to address and get out there, or did it just happen?
No, someone said it to me during the week, and I said it wasn't, like I didn't plan that at all. But what that person said to me was, that was actually asked to you on RTE, it was asked to you on BBC, just before I went into the press room.
Okay.
So it probably was resonating with me from that I didn't answer it properly. And then by the time I got into the reporters, I was probably a bit thick at that stage. Do you know what I mean? So it was asked to me twice. I think Brian Fenton might have asked me it on RTE, which I didn't realise going into the press room, but it must have sat with me slightly going into it, you know. So that's where it kind of came from. And, you know, but like if we lose by 10 points, Mike, everyone's telling me I'm a fool and we're naive. Do you know what I'm saying? So it worked, and it's good now that it kind of, it's getting that sort of testament. But you know yourself, you've seen, Joe, you say something well and it works, everyone thinks it's brilliant. And you say something well, it doesn't work, and everyone thinks you're a fool.
Did it allow you to use it though with the group in
No,
the
never.
2 weeks around
Never.
the whole thing of they don't think we'll win it?
Never.
Nobody's giving us a chance now.
Never. I swear to God, lads, we never mentioned the 75 years. We never mentioned the media. we never mention nothing. We mention ourselves and what we're going to go after. And that is the God honest truth. The boys know it's there, lads. Like, we're all, Stephen is young. What age are you, Stephen? You're about 25, yeah. So, but you're younger than us, and you're probably more au fait with social media than we are. Like, the boys, like, we never told the boys to come off social media or anything. So they're seeing it. Do you know what I'm saying? They might be seeing it to the level where they know what's happening. Do you know, when there's something said, they know what's happening. Do you know? And but we never mentioned it.
No.
I swear to God, we never mentioned it once, and we never mentioned. But like, they probably knew it did happen, and they probably know that everyone was writing us off, but they knew we had a good chance.
Why did it annoy you actually? Why was it that there was that line that kind of got under your skin about the hype?
It used to annoy me as a player. I used to think it was bullshit. Like, I used to always think this thing of hiding yourself away, and for some reason someone painting a sheep up in Belmullet is going to lose us in an All-Ireland final, or someone painting a house, or having a car with Mayo. Like, I was like, what? Do you know what I'm saying? That didn't make me miss or score a shot. Like, do you know what I'm saying? Like, we played the greatest Dublin team of all time. Like, nothing to do with us winning or losing All-Irelands.
Yeah.
Like, if you can't have fun when you're going to an All-Ireland, like, what's the point? Like, I firmly believe that sport is there to be won and to be fought and to go to your pit with, like. But it's also about entertainment and joy and love and having crack. And if you're not having that, what's the point?
From a media point of view, he, how would I say it? He treated the media in a more manly fashion than some other management teams may have. Your lads seem to be able to talk to...
Sure, we're part of the media, self-boiler. Sure, straight in.
We're going back into it.
Yeah, we're going back
Your
in.
lads were much more open this year. Was that a conscious decision, or why was that in place?
Well, when we got into the job, I think one of the prerequisites of the job is to get the fans back. Sure, if they don't know their players, they're not going to come back. And Joe, I think it was lovely when, Joe, you see someone who's a tiny bit quirky, or you see someone who's a tiny bit, Joe, you see Jack Coyne who's unbelievably focused, but you see Rhino who's just passionate to the core. You see Kerry who's a bit quirky but different, and I think people kind of like that, you know. And like kids, it's very important. Like, my young fella, like, he'd be naming his top 5, and Bob would be one of his top 5. Do you know what I'm saying? Or Dara would be one of his top 5, because he got to know their personality throughout the year, and I think that's the key thing, you know. And it's I think it's just lovely to see that people are kind of different. There's an edge to some fellas. Other fellas are just quite calm, and we probably didn't get to know, particularly that under 20s of 2020s, we didn't get to know them in the media, and the supporters didn't know them that well over the last couple of years. So I just think it was good to get them out there and get them to enjoy it. Was that easy after Roscommon? It wasn't, but I think over the course of the 15 games that we played, it probably worked well for us.